begin with in the studio. The man on the street says, I'm watching Supreme Court decisions. In one decision, they have said Yatiku Singh, for one reason or the other, was unlawfully elected. So he never existed. He has never been in parliament, really, in the face of the law. And the consequence has followed. The consequence is that his name should be expunged from the records of parliament. He loses his seat. There's going to be a by-election. So people are now extrapolating and asking, so this one, what is the consequence for the president's wrongful conduct in extrajudicially removing the Auditor General and then bringing in another, in a wrong way?
Well, I think that you are perfectly right in stating that the citizens are asking for an impeachment of the president. You see, you have a president who swears an oath of office. The oath of office says that he pledges or swears to uphold, and you can read the full text of the oath.
No, you go on. You are going. Just
yes, and
making sure that you are quoting it right.
Yes, he upholds the constitution and laws of the country, and here we have a president who, as a lawyer, the president should have known. Right, at the time that he was taking the decision, he was treading on the verge of unconstitutionality. If you read Dua Ajiman's case, you come to the conclusion that Dua Ajiman was held to be a public officer. At Article 199, you can dismiss a public officer for want of better word, for the performance of his functions. You cannot be capricious in dismissing a public officer. The facts of Domelevo's case lend credence to the fact that the letter directing him to proceed on leave was consequent upon his attempt to audit, to hold public officials, and particularly government officials, accountable. So when you put all the circumstances together, and you wrote at that time that was a constructive dismissal. And even immediately after his removal or the directive that he should proceed on leave, they brought in an acting Auditor General who the next day cleared the Minister of State, or at that time Minister of State, because he was senior minister, now subsequently senior advisor to the president, of any wrongdoing. So you can see the nexus that this person was simply removed malafide. The president had bad faith in removing the Domelevo.
But is it legally tenable and sound to say that on the basis of the president's oath that he took, that he has broken the oath in which he said he will be faithful and true to the Republic of Ghana, and that he will at all times preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, and that he says that should I at any time break this oath of office, I shall submit myself to the laws of the Republic of Ghana and suffer the penalty for it. This is the basis where some are making this claim. And I'm asking, is this legally sound that a president will take advice? Because we know that's what presidents do. Take advice all the time, they take steps. Advice or an action which he believes to be correct, then it is later invalidated by the court. Is that a breach of the Constitution? Is that a violation of his oath?
We are not holding his advisors vicariously responsible for the wrong advice they give the president. And the president must always know that the buck stops with him. And that if you are advised, based on previous decisions of the court, to sack an Auditor General, whose office is a creature of the Constitution, then as a president, you must think twice, especially when you have sworn the oath of office to protect, defend, and uphold the Constitution. And when you have said that if you break the Constitution, any provision of the Constitution, you submit yourself to the laws of the country.
I am president. I am activating the Constitution in belief that I'm doing the right thing. A court disagrees with me. Does that mean I have breached the Constitution and must suffer a penalty for it?
Well, you think that only the court believed that he had breached the Constitution? People believed that what the president did was a fundamental and violent breach of the Constitution. They drew the president's attention to that. The president was adamant. In fact, when Domelevo himself drew the attention of the president to the fact that he was breaching the Constitution, it attracted the eye of the president. He escalated his leave. There is impunity. I'm actually waiting to read the judgment, whether the court will not describe that act as an act of impunity. Then proceeded on leave, barricaded his doors. I mean, what again do you think?
The president had lawyers who were advising him. Domelevo also had lawyers who were advising him. So if the two disagree...
So who were advising the CSOs?
And they also had their lawyers.
So you know, there was unanimity. I mean, in the public. And many people were taken aback. And I think that this is a good case where we should hold the president responsible.
So anytime the president takes an action, and the action is found to be unconstitutional or in violation of some law in this country, it means he has breached his oath.
He must suffer the penalty.
He must be subject to impeachment.
He must suffer the penalty for that. He must suffer until we begin to hold our presidents responsible, accountable, and not give excuses for their acts of impunity. Then we are not going to make progress. That's why I don't think that this decision must be prospective.
Will that be different from ministers and state functionaries breaching the law here and there, police officers doing wrong, ministers and their deputies and all that, signing contracts, bringing us judgment, debt,
that's not different. That's not different. Ministers of state, what do we do? The Constitution says we put them to a vote of censure. So they cannot breach the laws with impunity. So Parliament is the institution that passes the laws. And so when the minister breaches the law, you bring him to Parliament to answer.
Is the test not willfulness in the conduct?
There's no willfulness.
No, it's willfulness.
Why? Why willfulness?
It's willfulness.
What willfulness?
Yes, let's hear you, Panka.
It's not willfulness.
You see, otherwise the law will be absurd.
First of all,
completely absurd.
What's willfulness?
You see,
when we say something is willful, it means that it is intentional.
That you know that this is
willful. It's intentional. Yes.
But he was doing it.
He knew that
he was right.
So in fact, he was willful and reckless.
Okay, let's see if the Supreme Court.